Hey everyone, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Another card making tutorial for you, and it's Monday, which means a colour challenge, and we are using crumb cake, early espresso and crushed curry. Really sort of vintagey kind of scheme going on there. So what we have made with these for my sample is this card. So I wanted to try and use these very muted colours to make something that was quite sort of pretty and feminine. So this is what I came up with. So we're going to, as always, we're going to mix it up and do a different set of colours. No, I haven't got my light on. Is that better? I thought it looked a bit dark. Though we'll replicate this card into some other colourways, alright? So the bits and pieces I have got to play with is we're going to go and see if we can freshen it up using the vanilla cardstock as the base here. I've actually brought in the vanilla for the stamping on this one just to sort of tone it down. I thought the white would be a little bit too bright against the other muted colours. And instead of die cutting tone on tone, I'm going to pull in the crushed curry to create a panel. So we're going to die cut into that and die cut the so we can have the colour coming through. I'm going to stick with my layered sentiment and then bring in the flowers and the sprigs using the crumb cake cardstock and the crushed curry ink. So that's where we're going. The materials then, so we've got flowers of friendship to make our embellishments with the coordinating punch. So that's a bundle. Buy together and you get them, you save 10%. Okay. The Brilliant Biggest Wish stamp set, so brilliant this is. Absolutely fab. I really, really love it. I've used it absolutely loads. And then we've got this die. Got the sprig punch as well. And then this is a die. This is a new die in the annual catalogue. It's called Flower Market. Probably goes that way up because the sort of tulipy ones go that way. So we've got some embossed elements, we've got some cut out elements, and it's really, really cool. So that's what we're using to create our little background. So that's probably the first thing we need to do. So that's what I'm using this little piece of Very Vanilla for. So you can kind of position your die however you want. So this is going to measure 2.5 by 3 7/8 of an inch, as I realise I hadn't told you that. So you can kind of look through and sort of pick a bit that you think you might want to use. That looks about right. And we're just going to run it through the die cutting machine just like we would any other die. Okay, using our base platform, the die adapter plate, and then a cutting plate. Put on our materials and then a cutting plate on top. Okay, it is a little bit stiffer to roll through, just because you've got quite a thickness there, and it's all across the plate. But I would recommend trying to send it through corner first, and it will make it a whole lot easier. Don't try and do it straight into the machine. So if I could just show you my plate, this is how it went through. So that this corner led rather than straight through, because the roller's going to hit that and make it hard for you to roll it through. All right, that's probably flaring loads, isn't it? So we'll just pick that out of there, and all the bits sort of start falling out already. So there's going to be some little delicate bits and stuff at the edges, but we'll just work with them. Okay, so just removing those little loose pieces there. Just shove that into my bin while it's there, because otherwise those pieces are going to end up everywhere. And the die brush is actually really good for getting out these particular ones. So I'm just going to grab my take your pick tool, see how they just sort of fling themselves out. So that just helps you get certainly most of them out. Look at that, easy peasy. And when you just sort of flick that gently over a bin, they just fall off the mat. And then there'll just be a few more to just get some of those off. Let's do it another direction. Some of the odd one that just needs a bit of extra persuasion with a pokey tool, which is fine, but at least it does 90% of the work for us. Just grab those little pieces off there. And as I just need a couple more. Oops, that's going rollies. Just the pokey tool just to help me poke out that last one, and that's it, it's done. There we go. Just put that away for the moment. So that's our little sort of decorative piece that we're now going to layer onto a piece of crushed curry. So this measures 4 by 2 5/8 and wants to escape apparently. Okay, but before we're going to adhere it down, I'm going to just take off the brightness of the card just with a little bit of ink. This is optional. I'm just going to use the crushed curry, not crushed curry at all, what's that, crumb cake, just to sort of antique it a bit. Could have done this before I die cut it actually, but I forgot. So it just antiques it a little bit, and it doesn't matter if it's a bit on the uneven side. Okay, and it's gonna, if you do it beforehand, you're not going to risk damaging any of the edges and stuff. So just a little tip there. It's this, like I say, this is something that you don't have to do. I just thought it would just tone down the brightness of it, and I'm going to be doing that with the little sentiment panels and things as well. Alright, so while we've got the scrap paper out, or actually we'll use a silicone sheet actually, I'm going to apply the glue carefully to the back of that. Could use the little sponge, you know, the little sponge I've got, but actually there's a fair few places just to sort of catch the edges there, and because we're looking for that sort of shabby vintagey sort of look, I'm not going to be too concerned if there's a couple of little pieces that aren't quite stuck down. Give it a bit of interest, but if it bothers you, you could take a sponge to the back of this with the glue, you could use a sticky sheet, that kind of thing. You could even use the stamping foam, and then the whole thing would be like a dimensional sticker then as well, which would be really cool. So that's going to go over the top of that. So I hadn't tried this combo before. I'm literally doing it with you guys here right now. And what I'm going to do is just press that with my silicone sheet over the top, so my hand's going to go all sticky. And then that will give that time just to make sure that's fully dry before I attach it to the card. Just seeing that there's a little piece that's just bent around a bit, so I'm just going to take it off. No one's going to know it should have been there. Alright, so we'll leave that to just dry off to one side. And so if there's an odd little bit that isn't quite set, then I'm not going to concern myself too much about that. Bit more stamping to do, and again I'm going to just take the brightness off the card stock with just a smidgen of this crumb cake ink. Okay, really good for it's a really good colour for just distressing up some of these. If you wanted to go a little bit further, you could even, you know, really distress the edges with your scissors or something like that. This strip that I'm doing now is going to be the one that I'm stamping my flowers on. So I'm just literally just taking the colour off. It's a bit splotchy here and there, but that's not going to matter too much. Whereas that's going to be my sentiment panel, so I don't want that to be too splotchy there. Right, sentiment first, I think. We'll get that done. Crumb cake ink coming out first, and we're going to use the birthday word first. So this panel I have cut to fit this stamp. So plus just a incy bit more. The stamp is a smidge over an inch high, so it's an inch, 1 1/8. And then I measured the outside of the Y and to the top of the B as the widest point of the stamp, and then added an 1/8 on to get that to fit exactly on. So the fact that this is such a square design really helps with the lining up of the image. And then we're going over the top of that with the happy in the early espresso. Now just put this onto a D block, because then you can sort of have a think about whether you want it a bit on the wonk or not, or whatever. Let's just put that about there. So you've got options as to how you want to stamp that out. Could have used the crumb cake too, I guess, for one of those. Then that is just going to be adhered to our little piece of early espresso, which I cut just 1/8 bigger on each edge. So we just have this really little teeny tiny border, and that's going to go up on dimensionals eventually onto the card, so we may as well put those on the back ready for when we need that. So that's our sentiment panel. Okay, really easy to do. And then this strip is for our little flowers. So the little flowers, that's the smaller one of the two that are in the set, and we're stamping it like an X to match the orientation on the punch. If we were doing the other one, we'd do it as a cross. Okay, all will become clear as we push that through. I am going to use the crushed curry again for this bit though, and you want to get those as spaced out as possible, and I will show you why, because the other elements will damage the image as you go across. I'm going to add some Wink of Stella, which will just pull out some of that outline colour into the flower, and again takes off that sort of starkness. So it's barely visible that I did the distressing bit, but if you were to compare it with ones that I hadn't done that with, it would be a lot brighter. Okay, so a touch of Wink of Stella on there just pulls out just a teensy bit of the colour into the flower, enough to make a difference anyway, like I say. Alright, so we're going to do the strip of paper in here. So if this stamp had been stamped further across, I risk punching into it with that next leaf along. Okay, so you want them nice and evenly spaced so that you don't end up cutting into the next image. So we're just going to get those punched out. Didn't line that one up so well. Of course, in the comfort of your own homes, you can take a bit more time over this. So just trying to not have them all over the place. And then last one here, just make sure there's nothing left in your punch, otherwise it will jam on you. And then this last one here. So just as an FYI, this is actually a symmetrical flower, so as long as you stamp it in the right orientation, it will line up with your punch. It's really clever actually, because it doesn't look like it's symmetrical, but it is. It's just the way it's drawn is it's just slightly different lines on each one, and makes it look different, which I think is really clever. So those scraps are going into the bin there, and then we've got our lovely little flowers that we can just shape up, which you've seen me do a number of times. The tip of the multi-purpose glue works a treat if you've got nothing else. My personal favourite tool, because I have one but the tip of the glue will work, is one of these large ball tools. Just pressing that into the palm of your hand, it just gives them these lovely little cupped sort of shapes, which makes them ever so much more pretty on your card. And then we're going to grab our sprig punch for finishing off. Really useful combination of punches, that is the flower of friendship with these and the daisy punches. You're done, you're sorted for flowers. It's just it's a really great combination of products to have. Okay, so here's all our little bits and pieces, and we just need to do a bit of assembly and embellishing. Let's bring in our card base, and we can put our panel onto there, just using some seal for that. Then you can decide which way up you want it, if you're fussy. Okay, so we've got that border around it and a border along the cardstock as well, because the card base is 4 1/8 wide. If you're making a British A2. So we had everything orientated so that the sentiment was on the left, flowers were on the right. Let's just give you another option by placing that over to the right. Let's put it about there, I think. Something catching, oh, there's a bit of seal that's caught onto my work surface there. So I'm just using an eraser just to get that off. There we go. That's better. I can slide it around a bit more now. So there we go, that's that. And then we just want our multi-purpose glue to attach our little flowers. So I find if you just put like, I call them little pearls of glue onto the backs there. It's quite raised, so you've got like that chance to sort of position them, and they'll adhere around that sentiment that is already raised. And then once you're ready, you can just squish them into place and they'll hold really beautifully. So it's sort of a cheat dimensional sort of thing. And then we can just place in our little sprigs at the opportune place. If you want to use the tip of a pokey tool just to make sure that those the glue has made contact with the base of the card, so we took this one in as well. Quite like it coming out of the outside the border. I think that's cute. And then I did add metallic pearls to this because they come in gold and silver, and I thought they were actually quite cute with the with this colour palette. These are really lovely, these metallic pearls. So you get a sheet of gold and a sheet of silver in each pack, and they're very reasonably priced, and they fit perfectly into the centres of these flowers. You could colour them as well, and they'll take on that sort of metallic sheen, but in a different colour. We've got the pastel pearls as well, which are bigger, but similar thing, because they're already coloured. If you then go over the top with another colour, you can get some really interesting effects, but still get that pearlescent sort of look to them. And there you have it, my friends. There we are. an alternative on the sample. Very, very different looks. So this is what I made originally. The crumb cake base and everything coming through, and then this is flipped around in terms of the orientation, adding in the panel behind and bringing it out onto vanilla cardstock. Okay, really, really cool. Really, really cool. They are both really, really pretty in different ways, in my opinion. Okay, but possibly a little bit fresher look on this one. I don't know. It's a very tough call. As always, I know you will tell me in the comments which ones you prefer. And yeah, really, really cool. Really like that background of dye. Very, very pleased. Thanks ever so much for joining me. As always, if you can like, subscribe, do all that thing, tap the bell, and you'll be notified of all the other videos that I produce, usually around 4 a week. And then all the items I've used in today's project are going to be linked in the description as well. So if you just click the show more or the down button, there's going to be hyperlinks straight to the online store, so you can put them straight into your basket and check out with me. So I hope you'll be tempted. Always lovely to get new customers who enjoy Stampin' Up products. Right, I'm going to leave you there. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.